Oh, sorry. I didn't.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the April 20th regular meeting of the Library and Arts and Culture Commission. Can we have a roll call?
Commissioners Deaver,
Here.
Sharikian,
Here.
Chairperson Oshigan.
Yes.
For the record, Commissioner Derhol Vanessian and Commissioner Sohakian are not present. The agenda for the April 20th meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on April 13th, 2017. Item 2, consent items. At 2A, approval of regular meeting minutes from March 16th, 2017.
We have any comments or?
I move approval.
I can second it. Yeah, I can second it.
I can't second it.
You can? No.
Can I second the motion? I cannot. Chair. Not the chair cannot. So I guess we'll have to postpone it and try and approve it at the next meeting then, I guess.
I wasn't present last meeting.
Sure. Oshigan and Commissioner Sharikian, you can still move. Did you watch it on tape, the meeting?
Some of them, not the whole thing.
Okay. We
I
can
can
put it over, or you can still move it for purposes of the proceeding.
I'll move it then, make it things easy. I'll move it.
Well, I moved it, so you can.
I'll second it then.
Yeah, second.
Okay.
Commissioners Deaver,
Yes.
Sharikian,
Abstain.
Chairperson Oshigan.
Yes.
Item 3, introductions and presentations. At 3A, Library Arts and Culture events presented by Chuck Wyke, Community Relations Manager.
Good afternoon, Chair Oshigan, Commissioners, and City staff and guests. Here are a number of events coming up, mostly in May. We have Natural Selections. It's the next exhibition at the Brand Library. Starts Saturday, May 13th. The kickoff is at 6 p.m. It's going to feature the artwork of Amabel Aguilas, Sarajo Frieden, Wakana Kimura, Karen Lanzoni, and Hiroko Yoshimoto. And the works in this exhibit were created in a variety of mediums, including painting, drawing, collage, sculpture, and installation. And that's coming up again on May 13th. The Brand Associates sponsor, among other things, a dance series. And the first one this year, I believe, is coming on Saturday, May 20 with the Invertigo Dance Theater. Saturday, May 20, 1:30. Interestingly, 2 in a month, SALT will be there for the second of the dance series, Friday, May 26th at 7 p.m. That's a different date, different time. The LA Opera Young Artist Program has worked with our staff for a number of years. They do opera talks, and every now and again we get their young artists. So we will have a young artist program featuring Mozart on Tuesday, May 23rd at the Brand Library. The Central Library. This was probably 10 days ago. So it looks markedly different now, but that clock up there is the old clock. So we can assure you that it came back in the building, but in a new framework, a brand new elevator, in fact. This, right where our staff is, that actually was my office for a short time. Now it's what we're calling a reading spa. So right now there's some really nice Eames chairs in there, and it's beautiful. It's really gorgeous. It's a great place. I can vouch for that. It's a great place to sit. But that's coming. Cindy has been hard at work giving tours to a variety of kind of heavy hitters, including these kids here. Interestingly, they won a drawing, was it, at a local school, and this was the prize. So a whole bunch of them trotted out. We gave them hard hats, and Cindy walked them around the place. Our staff, of course, are getting their own tours. There's Cindy and a variety of staff from the branches, including Brand Library and all of our neighborhood libraries, on our new front steps. When we start the Arts and Culture Commission-sponsored Plaza Series, it'll be in this neighborhood, right kind of to the right, actually behind Cindy, or on the right down on Harvard. But there's going to be a number of great performers there. We had a very interesting day at Brand Library of auditions. We'll have to tell you about that the next meeting, but we believe that's going to start in middle of May. So, all things considered, this is really why I'm here, to tell you that we are having a grand reopening Monday, May 1st. We're calling the place Downtown Central. That's our new moniker. There is also a Glendale Library Foundation Gala on the Friday preceding the opening. So if you would like to get a preview, the tickets are online at glendalelibraryfoundation.org, and the gala is Friday, April 28th in the evening. Monday, May 1st, again, the Central Library will reopen. 9:30 in the morning is when things start. So all of our library sites will be closed on Monday, May 1st, except for the Central Library. Those of us in Glendale know the Beeline Buses. On May 1st, you'll be able to hop on a Beeline and show your library card to get a free ride. And most of them go by the Central Library or close enough. So if you hop on the Beeline, you get a free ride to the Central Library on May 1st. So our service hours, beginning Monday, May 1st, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 10, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 to 6, and Sundays, noon to 6. Busy, busy, busy. We have an exhibit coming with the new, the opening of Central Library, Landscape of Memory. I might want to leave this to somebody else to discuss. There's a couple of people on the dais here who know quite a bit about this, but this exhibition will be in Central Park, south of the library, between Colorado and Harvard, right behind the library. Very large scale, up to 12 feet high, some of them. This was, you can see the top picture, that was down at, what do they call it, Grand
Grand Park in downtown Los
Park
Angeles
in downtown
2 years
LA.
ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 years ago. So that same exhibition is coming here with a couple of additions. It is big, it is remarkable, and we're very happy to have it coming to us.
If I could
Yes.
expound on that, just a couple. So not only will there be the eyewitness exhibit that Chuck just mentioned outside, but there's a brand new exhibition space inside the library that will open on May 1st, and some of the images that you saw there are actually part of the inside exhibit also. So it's this whole exhibit about witnesses and survivors and how that kind of experience gets passed down through the generations. For instance, we're going to have Arshil Gorky's work will be also featured, who was a genocide survivor and an artist, a very well-known artist. So it'll be this kind of conversation between artists, survivors, survivor artists, documentarians from many different perspectives. So indoors and outdoors, and I hope everybody will come and see it May 1st or anytime after May 1st. They'll be up through end of June, both exhibits.
Commissioner Oshigan, would you like to discuss the room, the Reflect Space room, and what we have upcoming in that room and the purpose of the room?
Yeah, so the room, as many of you probably know, was the community and the city council wanted to have a room that will deal with human rights issues, atrocities across the spectrum of these kinds of events. And so this whole room is dedicated as kind of a mandate to present these kinds of issues. We start with Armenian genocide, then we're going to deal with incarceration, with the Japanese internment, with the Holocaust, with Rwanda. Every 2 months, the exhibition in that space will change, addressing these kinds of very important human rights and atrocities across the globe. as well as a very specific, of course, Glendale specific kind of focus that reflects very closely with the community and the experiences of our Glendale community. And it will be interactive in time. It's going to be technology based also. Right now, we don't have all the technologies in place, but it will be interactive. That is, people will be able to go into that space and record their own histories and listen back to their own histories. And we'll be creating an archive of Glendale history, active, alive archive also.
And I should have mentioned that in addition to Chair Oshigan's role on the commission, that is he and his wife Anahid are serving as our curators of that space. And we're really excited, number one, to bring the space into our community, and number two, to welcome those two very creative people to our staff to help us curate those spaces. Thank you.
Monday, May 1st, grand reopening. Please be there, 9:30. We're going to kick it off with a great mariachi band. They're just going to blow the doors down, and then you can walk right in. We have events planned all day long, up into the late evening, in fact. So I hope you'll all be able to make it.
Any questions? Thank you, Chuck.
Item 4, oral communications. And we have none.
We have none? Okay.
Item 5, business agenda. At 5A, information item. At 5A1, update on Beyond the Box mural program.
Good afternoon, Chair Oshigan and Commissioner Deaver and Commissioner Sharikian. I'm Sharon Mann-Garrett, your Principal Administrator for Library Arts and Culture. And today I'd like to present to you a report on Beyond the Box, an update. This report's an update to the Arts and Culture Commission on the status of the Beyond the Box Utility Box Mural Program of the 2015-2017 work plan. In November 2015, a little background, the City Council approved the 2015-2017 work plan of the Arts and Culture Commission and appropriated $380,000 to accomplish activities detailed in the work plan. One of the items in the work plan was the continuation of the Beyond the Box Utility Box Mural Program, now in its 4th year. The program beautifies the city streetscape with colorful and interesting murals installed by selected artists on city-owned utility boxes. Currently, murals on over 90 boxes have been completed by the program, which has been very well received by residents and visitors to Glendale. The program installs murals in waves of 10 to 15 at a time per neighborhood. An interactive map showing the locations and depictions of the installed art is now live on the city website. My report continues to detail some of the selection process and the details there, and I'll just skip over that. The Glendale News Press featured the artwork of Ruben Espinosa and of Julia Helgun on its front page cover for Wednesday, April the 12th, following the installations, which is noteworthy. It also detailed the work of the Arts and Culture Commission as part of the citywide public art program. So I'll just show you some of the artworks that have been recently installed. This is Monica Podrosky of Ventura, California. Van Manukian of Glendale. Angela Alvarenga of Alhambra. Mani Nazarian of Glendale. Adrian Ioa of Los Angeles did this mural. Ruben Espinosa of Santa Maria did this one. I think he came from the farthest to do a mural. Ricardo Cerezo of Glendale did this mural, and Ricardo's here today. Julia Helgund of Glendale. Tessia Ochoa of Glendale did this one. She's a student artist. Gwendolyn Powell of Tujunga did this delightful mural that's right near the new Central Library. Marianne Behrman of Glendale completed this artwork. Holly Cleland of Burbank did this lovely mural, and Ms. Cleland is here in the audience today. And Ricardo Cerezo of Glendale did this beautiful depiction of a rooster on our city-owned mural box. Ricardo's here with us today. Paul Juno of North Hollywood did this box. It's very vibrant, very, very beautiful in the downtown. And that concludes my report. I would like to invite the artists, if they'd like to come to the podium and be recognized by the Arts and Culture Commission. They could come forward at this time.
I've never actually been into one of these places before, so this is really cool. All I want to say is I really think these are like the coolest things any of the cities do, these mural programs on these electrical boxes, and I appreciate anybody who supports these programs. So thanks, guys. That's what I want to say. That's my gratitude.
Hi, I'm Ricardo. I'm glad to have been participating in this program so far 3 times. Because I see the advantage of having this display for the arts around the city, something that I would like, I don't know if it's possible, but to get like a feedback, it could be like probably having like a walking tour, you know, probably will be interesting and making more connection between the artists and their work. If you know people know a little bit about the inside about the pieces, so that's it. Thank you.
That's a great suggestion. I think we should try to incorporate that, some type of walking tour of our mural boxes in the future.
Yep. Any comments?
I'll say thank you for attending, particularly if this is a new experience for you to come before the Arts Commission. I encourage you to continue to do that, just to kind of learn about what our city and, of course, other cities too that they're doing towards the arts and have your voice heard. But thank you so much for participating in it. It is such an exciting program. I wasn't able to attend this particular installation when it was all happening, but I heard reflected in the recent news article, and I experienced this actually, I think, Ricardo, and one of your former installations on one's past, the passerby's experience of the artists working on those mural utility boxes, both during the installation and then after, and just seeing the interaction and the positivity that comes from our community when they see this happening and they see things, this transformation that takes place, and to be able to see the artists and how that actually happens in the comments, whether people are just kind of driving by with a little roll down and a thank you shout out, or people stopping and coming over and talking, interacting with the artists. So thank you for participating, and I'm so glad that it went off again successfully, and thanks to staff for making this such a tremendous program of the Arts and Culture Commission.
I met Ricardo last time when he was doing his installation or painting on the corner of, was it Glendale and the park? And I go there a lot and walk with other friends, and everybody that passes by, they stop there and they look at the pigeon with the pigeon nest. And it's amazing how small work transforms not only just a corner or a stoplight or a small neighborhood, but the whole city. And when you see people stopping by and taking a picture of them, that's surprising, especially when people are driving and when they stop at the stop sign and they see and they take their cell phone off and take a picture of that. That's surprisingly, it's very satisfying and very happy moment for our city and, of course, our commission. And I appreciate all the artists, all the hard work that they do. They put the umbrellas, they have friends coming with them, snacks, food, even their dogs, they come. It's not just the painting and the process, it's the whole atmosphere that this commission has built, and the artists are participating and making it great. Thank you again for all the artists' participation, and thank you for coming here and sharing your comments and your thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to express my thanks also for participating in the program, and it's all of our jobs to make the city a more beautiful city through the arts, and I really want to thank you for being part of that. And also, if you have suggestions, like we really appreciate Ricardo's suggestion of how to improve the process, we are very open, and we welcome those kinds of comments. So feel free. And feel free to return. I know it's a little bit daunting with these big wooden dies here, but please return and speak to us and give us your suggestions and ideas, and we'll definitely take them into consideration. That's it? That's it, Sharon? Yes? Okay, next.
At 5B, 2, motion requesting that City Council take a position on the proposal funding cut of NEA.
Good afternoon again. Sharon Mann Garrett, Principal, Library Arts and Culture Administrator. This report is requesting that the City Council take a position on the proposed funding cut of the NEA. The background is that members of the Arts and Culture Commission have requested a public discussion on the proposed federal funding cut from the National Endowment for the Arts, or NEA, which may include a motion requesting the City Council take a position denouncing the proposed funding cut of the NEA. Staff has assembled information and news articles on NEA activities and funding and the Trump fiscal year 2018 budget proposal that is calling for the elimination of the NEA funding, and those are exhibited here in the report. The National Endowment for the Arts is an independent federal agency that was created in 1965 to invest in the arts and culture. The agency has distributed most of its budget to regional, state, and local arts agencies and organizations around the country and U.S. territories. A federal budget proposal put forth in March included increases in military spending and stark cuts to various social programs. President Donald Trump pledged to zero out funding for the NEA, along with the National Endowment for Humanities, the Institute for Museum and Library Services, and other agencies. The Trump proposal includes massive budget cuts, more than $54 billion in cuts to domestic programs in 1 year alone. If funding for NEA is terminated, music, dance, theater, literature, and visual arts may become less widely accessible, especially in schools, rural areas, and poorer communities. So I offer you the opportunity to discuss that.
Well,
Feel free.
okay, I'll kick it off since I think I was the one who initiated this request. And I think about this. So the reason that I thought it was important for us to have a conversation about this within the public and perhaps encourage our council to take a stand on this is that the National Endowment for the Arts has such an effect on our community and the community in which we reside. And I don't, you can look at this as a Glendale concern because I'm sure that we have artists and arts organizations and the city itself that has opportunities to go after funding that can help with economic development, can help with the beautification, can help with job creation, and numerous other social values that come through NEA programs. But also, I think it's important for us to consider ourselves in the context of the whole, whether our residents are going to other cities to participate in programs, or if programs that we sponsor, like through the libraries, for example. I think we talked about the LA Opera, came up earlier, other programs that pass through our city that are likely to, or at least have the opportunity to apply for funding from the National Endowment for the Arts that help support those programs that we are able to take advantage of. Also knowing that the National Endowment for the Arts puts a lot of its funding through the states these days, and so supporting our own state arts council is in our interest as a city because they more directly are able to fund artists that may reside and or work within our city. So I think it's of great import. The NEA, for anybody who's really familiar with its workings, has evolved substantially over the years with a clear focus on community revitalization and development and community support and education. I happen to have sat on an arts panel for musical theater several years ago as a panelist for grants, and was really taken in that by the caliber of and the breadth of the organizations that submitted. So we're not talking about just big institutions, we're talking about organizations that are providing free tickets for underserved communities, that are having after talks that are open to the community about the works that they're presenting. So there's just a lot of ways in which the NEA touches us that we may not think about offhand, but so I just think it's important for us as a city to let our own community know how important the arts are to us in the broader context, and how important the NEA is to us and to our arts and culture community and to our residents abroad, as well as the city itself. my 2 cents, or 3.
I would like to add a few comments. I've read most of the paperwork here, and I've done some research on my own to see how much can the NEA will impact on us and what are other options. First of all, we need to understand that art generally is very healthy. Healthy in a sense that it's not just physical, but it's also mental. If you don't have art around the city, around anywhere, it lacks of some type of missing in your body and in your community. When you take the music out, when you take the paintings out, when you take the performance out, when you take the art out from any community, it gets boring. And I understand when art has a big play in any city, in any community, any museum, you take an element out from a human values, and that's how I see it. Now, how much the NEA has to do with it, maybe little or too much, or maybe at all, not at all. But I think generally, when you start to cut budget around local and state governments, then it affects on individuals, and the individuals has to say something about it. And us as a commissioner, we need to have some type of stand based on real documents or assessments. So therefore, at this point, all we can say, probably understand and talk about is the value of art in our community and its role and for our values. But next step is we probably need to do more detailed research and assessment and then present that to the city council, and the city council will probably make a decision based on our assessment. That will be probably the best approach. Therefore, this is something we need to discuss not only now, maybe in the next few meetings, have an agenda item in more detail, because we're probably going to need also some other views, general views regarding the NEA and other programs, not specifically just the NEA. We need to see how our budget system works within the council and how much we're spending, and if there are any other means. I'm just saying those statements to have an open discussion. I definitely agree with it, but we need to have more definite papers and research and presentations so we can put our minds and when we take decision based on facts, and the facts have to be very solid base. That's what I'm saying.
If I could make a couple of comments. Of course, the elimination of the AA is a big threat to everybody in this room, certainly, but perhaps bigger threat even is the other proposal to eliminate the library services, right? And so perhaps that should also be part of our discussion here. And I guess I have a question as to, we are proposing we're suggesting that the city council write a proposal or write a statement or say something about supporting the NEA. Is that what it is? I guess I'm not sure exactly what the proposal is at this point, if I could get clarification on that.
I think that the proposal, if there were one, is open to the commission's point of view on that, but I think it is not uncommon for a city council to take a position or make a statement in terms of its support or not support of a defunding item in the federal government that would affect its people and its way of doing business. I don't think it's a specific proposal. I don't think it's, and actually in commentary to Commissioner Shirikian's comments, I don't think it's something that is needs to be researched deeply in terms of its impact. I think it's important to know all of that just as a commission and as a city, what the impact of the arts are. We have done actually an economic impact study several years ago through Americans for the Arts, just to point to some documents. But anyway, I know I'm going beyond your question, but there was no specific proposal with this, but I think it's just asking them to take a stance at whatever that might be if we were so inclined.
So it would be kind of raising the alarm. That's it seems the idea would be saying, this could be happening, and we'd like people to be aware that such a proposal is here, or it could happen, and so it's kind of raising people's awareness about what's happening.
I think so too. Yes, and I think also just for the community to understand what the city's position is with regard to the arts. I mean, we have a fund that's privately funded essentially for our public art. But the city itself doesn't have a broader stance with regard to its support for the arts within this community. And I think this is an opportunity for our civic leaders to stand up and say, we value the arts within our community. We think it's important for our residents. It's important to support our small creative businesses. And this is a potential threat to that way of being and to the opportunities for our community, and that's a concern. So yes, I think it's making people aware of it, and also the city being able to take a stance. This is how we feel about it.
So I think at this point, unless the comments are done, we would have to have a motion of some sort. Is that right?
The report is,
yes, Michael?
is offering the opportunity to make a motion.
The commission, Chair Oshigan, has options. If it can make a motion today, making a request to council. It can, as Commissioner Shurikin decide, just feels that maybe this should be brought back as another item on another time and for further discussion. So you have lots of options on how you want to proceed today, and no motion at all.
May I add, based on my initial comments, those reports that we have received, and they're very good reports and a lot of information in it. But what I would like to see from the city perspective, do we have any type of report that before the Art Commission had all those public art program, what was the values or what was the situation at that time? And now since then, we've spent millions of dollars, and we have transferred the city from non-artist or non-art friendly to a friendly art. And we are looking forward to spend more money and make Glendale more beautiful. I want to see not only a report, I want to see also some numbers, how much economic we have helped during those moments, during this period. So it's a statement, but at the same time, I want to make the statement so valid and so strong that the city council, once they read it and once they understand it, that means they're going to make a 100% decision. So that's what my intention is. Yes, we can make a general statement on anything we wanted to, but if we want to accomplish something, I'd rather have a solid, good report based on many aspects, and then present that to the city council and ask them, listen, this is what's happening now, this is the NEA, this is those local issues, and in order to make this a statement, we want to have a solid base. That's what I'm asking. And my suggestion will be, or my plan will be, is to have either the staff or some people to assign to this kind of subjects and prepare reports and discuss them, and then maybe we can vote then. I'm all for it. I'm not saying that we don't need to, but we need to have a solid case in order to present something like that to the city council.
And excuse me, Chair, Commissioner Shurikin, just for clarification, are you indicating that staff should prepare a report of the economic impact of art in the community?
That could be part of it, yes. And then maybe a report if there are similar cities that they don't have art at all, how their surviving, or we have cities like North Hollywood or Santa Monica, where they have very good art programs, how they're thriving, how they're working out. So I want to see a whole broader report in order to convince the city council, and I don't want to put city council in a position where they say no or yes without convincing. So that's what I'm trying to put it ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to alert the commission that several Los Angeles-based organizations have done economic impact studies on art within this region. We could bring forth one of those, but to attempt a full assessment would be a really large undertaking and maybe take longer than we need to make our assertion if the budget is being discussed right now. So I'd be more than happy to bring forward more information about second source information about economic impact of art in the region. But to undertake a major study, we may not have enough time to assert a position before that study was completed.
I'm sorry. I just wanted another thought on this, and you should know too. Well, let me back up. I think given the timing and where the federal government, in terms of its discussions and such, I think acting quicker than not on this particular kind of positioning piece could probably be done just based on our knowledge of the community. That's just my personal opinion. However, I think your point is well taken. I think both regionally, you should know that the Otis report on the creative economy is coming out next month. There'll be I think it's the 22nd, will be a Los Angeles presentation of that, which will give you economic data for Southern California, Los Angeles County specifically, and statewide. And we also have our previous economic study that we did through the Americans for the Arts, specific to Glendale, which is several years old, but it's documents that we have. But what I would recommend on what you're proposing is that kind of data is pulled together over a period of time, and that we understand our own economic contributions and impact in Glendale of our own programs, which might be independent of the NEA, but to be able to utilize that catalog of data and information when we want to propose perhaps our own budget context at the city, and what general funds are available to us through the arts. And so I think that tact makes a lot of sense for a broader purpose when we have a timeline, and a timeline that's attached to that. I think in the fall is our sort of arts month, like October, which we have frequently not acknowledged. The City Council has done one resolution on that, I think, during my term here, but maybe it's putting a goal towards something like that, and pulling that together in that context or in a budgetary context for next year.
Yes, Cindy.
I mean, if it sounds like you want more discussion on this on many different levels, but if, as you're considering what you bring, if you bring something to council, I think what the most pertinent information that they may be interested in is the direct impact to Glendale if we were to lose the funding. So you mentioned LA Opera, I'm sure gets NEA support. Well, that would be a direct impact to the city of Glendale because we wouldn't be able to do the programs that we do at Brand. That's one small example. Big example for the region, small example for Glendale. So, if we were to pull something together like what you're suggesting to bring to council, I mean, and what we could help with and you could help us with is identify, and there may be an easy way to find out if there are grants, NEA grants that have been given to agencies or groups in Glendale, but also in the region, and how that has some peripheral impact on our city. So, I think it's good to do an economic study, and yes, we need that, but it's almost independent of what we might bring to council in terms of any recommendation or position that we take on NEA.
I'd like to add that I did browse through the NEA website and took a look at the grants that they'd given in the past 6 months. And there was significant grant making in Los Angeles County, which does affect Glendale, and in trickle-down ways. So their information is pretty transparent on their website. We should be able to dig up what grants that they've made in this region and connect them to our constituents.
So maybe we should do that. We should pull that information together. I fully support taking, not only, maybe the commission also should take a position. I'm not sure if we can do that, make a statement clearly stating that we support grant NEA, we support the library services program, and then make a suggestion to the City Council. I fully support that, but I would also like to get, I think, our other commissioners' point of view on this issue before we move forward. That also a little bit concerns me that we may, just the three of us, take this position, but they will not be able to contribute to it. I think so. Perhaps then we'd have to wait until the next meeting to make a motion, get the position of our other commissioners, and then move forward that way.
Well, for clarification, staff would gather information on the NEA funding here and what programs and projects and services would be affected here in Glendale and in communities that touch Glendale. Attach that to the next report and invite all the commissioners to have a further discussion at our next meeting and perhaps develop a motion based on that at the next meeting.
To make things a little bit easier, can you also prepare a motion for us as based on Commissioner Deaver's statement, my statement, and to make it easy, maybe we can just change a few words if we need to and bring it to the meeting?
Yeah, once the data is compiled, if a motion naturally bubbles up from that, I'll be happy to. If it seems still a little bit unclear as to what your motion should be, then I'll leave it a little bit more open-ended. But if the information confirms a stronger position, I'll be happy to assert it.
I would like to suggest a motion. The motion would be, at this point, that, and what I'm hearing from the three of you is that you would support the idea that NEA funding should not be impacted, and that you direct staff to go back and prepare a report that gave you the direct impact to the city of Glendale.
Very close, yeah. I think I'm all for it.
I would move that, yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
We have a motion? Yes? We need a second?
Yes, I second it,
Second.
definitely.
Commissioners Deaver,
Yes.
Sharikian,
Yes.
Chairperson Oshigan.
Yes.
Item 6, Commission staff comments.
I have a staff comment. I'd just like to say that I'm thrilled to announce that the Public Art Master Plan contract has been completed. We are under contract with Cars Goldstein, who's in the audience today. They're in town to launch their activity with us, and after the Central Library grand reopening, we'll be pushing full steam ahead with our Public Art Master Plan.
Excellent.
Yeah, may I comment on that?
Yes, please.
I'm very happy.
We've been waiting a long time for this.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to hear and participate. Thank you very much. Anything?
Any comments?
I'll
Terry,
make
go ahead.
one quick comment, just because my tenure is running out, and depending on the next appointments, this is likely my last meeting. So I just wanted to, say just a general thank you for the honor of being able to serve our community with regard to arts and culture here in Glendale, and I hope that what I've been able to contribute has been helpful, and I want to thank staff here for the Library Arts and Culture Department and citywide, because it's, if nothing, to me, what's highly important to me is that the arts not be looked at as just the arts, that we de-silo the arts, that we involve all of our different departments and our different staff, and I think we're on the road to doing that and have been doing that, and I hope that continues, and I hope that the work that's rolling out forward will continue to move us down this path, because when I came onto the commission, we were nowhere near this, and that has nothing to do with my involvement, but just with the growth over time and the sophistication over time and the direction that we're going in. So I just say thank you to everyone for that, and for the honor of being able to go through this process with you all.
On behalf of staff, Commissioner Deaver, if this is our last meeting, I'd like to thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts for your spirit, your soul with the arts. You've been particularly diligent in bringing opportunities to staff and helping staff guide its work. And we will really miss you a lot if this is indeed your last meeting. And just want to thank you for all the soul and all the heart that you brought to the commission.
And Sharon said it all, Terry, Commissioner Deaver, but I'd like to say, you know, as well, that I really appreciate working with you. You at your heart are the arts. You've been with us since the very beginning of the Urban Art Fund and developing that and gotten us to going on to the master planning process. I will definitely miss you. I'm sorry if this is your last meeting. I wish you well, and I know you'll continue to be involved in the arts in Glendale.
Yes.
General comments on, are we on the general comments?
Let me make one comment.
Yes.
I hope this is not Commissioner Deaver's last meeting. And I mean, if somebody looks at her track record on this commission, I think they will clearly see that she should stay on this commission. Hopefully that kind of thing will happen. But if it's not, it has been my pleasure serving with you, learning from you, or your approach to the arts, and your real passion and deep-seated commitment to making the arts part of our lives and part of our city. So thank you. General comment, yes, Commissioner.
Considering we are Art Commission and there is a great movie, The Promise, which is, I just want to make a comment that make all the efforts to go and see it. It's not just about history, about the Armenians, but it refers to generally all the people, all humanity. And it's a pure artwork. I mean, I've seen some trailers and seen some interviews. It's a great movie. And if you have time, go see it. Appreciate it. Other than that, there's a lot going on this weekend. April 24, Armenian Genocide memorials going on, and a lot of art going on too. So I would encourage all the staff and the city, whoever can, to go and participate and see all the art can possibly done. Thank you.
Next item.
Item 7, written communications. There's
Do we have any? No? And last item is me hitting this thing. Okay. Thank you.